this company isn't so bad to fly for, because even though we were sitting here on the ground for hours, these pilots, these flight attendants, they made the experience that much better. It's all about how you make people feel. That at the end of the day, that's what they're there for.
Most pilots don't understand what career opportunities are available in the world of aviation. They're making career decisions based on advice from friends or posts on internet forums, meaning they are taking huge risks with their livelihood without having all the details. This podcast was created to help you understand the aviation industry so you can find your dream job. Let's get ready for Pushback. Here's your host and my dad, Nick Fialka.
Hey, pilot, it's Nick. Here we are. We're chatting, and let's chat with Eric Banford. Eric ran into me at OBAP, and he is a really cool cat. He went the civilian route to the regionals and started with OBAP when he was young. I really loved chatting with him. And if you are a person who is not in the military and you're trying to find a path to get to aviation, you should listen to Eric's tale, because I think it's really inspiring. I think it's super informative. And I think you can get a lot toward learning your journey through listening to this episode. So let's go. And last but not least, let's have a quick word from our sponsors, because without them, we wouldn't have this awesome podcast. Hey, pilot, did you just get a new conditional job offer? Are you getting out of the military and going to move your family across the country? Are you going to move in base somewhere? Or are you going to go out to find that second home that you've been looking for? Well, I want you to stop right now, pick up the phone, and call Marty and the team at Trident Home Loans. It's an organization that's run by pilots. They understand pilot pay. They understand contracts. They understand military. They have the best VA loans in the United States. Marty and his team have been doing mortgages for years. They've been doing my mortgages for years. I trust him and his team more than any other organization. I challenge you to get a better deal anywhere else. Go ahead, reach out, get a mortgage quote, and then call Marty and his team. They will walk you through the process and show you how competitive their rates are. So go right now, tridenthomeloans.com, and check them out. Hey, pilot, I want to tell you about a great friend of the show, Timothy P. Pope. He's a financial planner, and he's completely focused on the professional pilot. He's the kind of guy you want to go to for real talk to help you figure out your financial future. With so many upgrades and so many transitions and so many things going on, you owe it to yourself to give him a call. He'll help you design and execute really smart financial planning strategies, whether it's retirement planning, investment management, military transition, tax planning. He's a great financial planning partner. Timothy P. Pope, CFP, helping professional pilots make the most out of life. Give him a shout. All the information's in the show notes. You should definitely tell him I told you to call. All right. Welcome back to another awesome episode. And I'm with Eric Banford. And a lot of you are probably wondering, who in the heck is Eric Banford? And I'll tell you who Eric is. Eric is a young man who I met in 2022 at a pilot convention, at the OBAP pilot convention. And he had a lot of experience coming up in the world of OBAP, but also in the world of civilian aviation. And I am a military guy, and I have been a military guy for my whole life, and that's my bucket. But Eric is doing it on the other side, and it's such an interesting story. I want him to talk about it and tell us about it. So Eric, thank you so much for being here today, my man. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm great. How about yourself?
I am kicking it. It's a fun day to sit here and see you. We've been trying to link up for quite a while, and I'm glad that we can. Okay,
absolutely.
So give us a synopsis of your story. What's your timeline of how you got into aviation and kind of where you are now? So short intro, I guess.
Okay, for a nice short intro. Well, I started with aviation, having absolutely no knowledge of aviation way back when I was in kindergarten. So my mom being a flight attendant for United, we used to travel with her all the time. And, you know, I was your typical kid riding in the back saying, wow, this is cool. I want to go see and touch all the flight controls. I want to be the person in the cockpit. I want to have the best view. Just your typical kid, always wanting to have the window seat, enjoying the plane ride. So I was one of those people who instantly fell in love with it. and I wanted it ever since. So I was going to do anything I could to get it.
So how did you get from being a kindergartner to actually getting moving in the flying world?
So moving up in the flying world, it took me years before I even touched a real airplane, such as...
They don't let kindergartens fly airplanes?
Not just yet. They might eventually.
Yeah, they just got to...
Exactly.
The FAA is just going to keep lowering those numbers.
Yes, exactly. So, back when I was in high school, they didn't have any programs for aviation, nothing extracurricular wise that was involved with any school that I went to or anything around us. So my mom helped me look online. We found the Young Eagles. We found Civil Air Patrol. We found OBAP. So it all just jump started from there. I was like, hey, this is what I wanted to do. I spoke with both of my parents and they're like, okay, so we're going to take you to a nearby flight school. So that's where I had an introductory flight over here in Sacramento where I live. And it was great. I loved it. So I was like, okay, when do I start these lessons and how do I start? So not having the money just yet to go ahead and start those lessons, I just continued on with high school. And we're like, well, what's another way to get exposed to the whole aviation industry? Because just having someone in your family as a pilot or flight attendant, gate agent, whatever you want to say, just involved with the industry is nowadays just isn't enough. You need some sort of guidance and some sort of structured program to really jumpstart your career. So basically, we signed up for OBAP and they had this meeting down there in Compton, California. So it was a great place. We met this guy named Tony Marshall. It was the guy who was running it. So we got in contact with him, met a whole bunch of other kids just enthusiastic about aviation, whether they wanted to cook or be a pilot or do something else involved with aviation. It was just a good time. But being there, at one point in time, we actually got to take a ride up in a Cessna and do a couple laps in the pattern. And everybody just fell in love with it at that point. You make great contacts, met great people. You got to tour Army Air Base, the Pasadena Police Department helicopter pad. You got to go to Burbank and go tour the tower. So it's just basically the whole experience is you might want to fly, you might not, but this is aviation as a whole. And if you like it, this is a way to get involved. These are the people to get in contact with, and this is what you got to do. So just by going there, I left with like a structured path, like a focus. Okay, this is how I get there. Now it's time to go ahead and choose a school, and we just go off from there. But after OBAP is when I joined Civil Air Patrol, and I got a chance to do a couple of discovery flights with them, and I enjoyed it a lot. So
first off, way to go, Tony Marshall. Way to get like hook, line, and sinker. And first, I love that, like the exposure, the opportunity, and pretty much all of these organizations have outreach to help get kids interested. Like, how old do you remember about how old you were?
Man, I was 15 years old.
15 years old,
15,
so not
16.
even driving. Yeah.
Yeah, not even driving.
In that zone, man, I love that because you're also very fortunate to live on this West Coast. I'll tell you what, like being in Sacramento, having access to like all the big stuff in the world. There's somebody listening right now that's in the middle of the country on a dirt road, and it's a long way to even the closest regional airport.
Right.
And I want to encourage that person too, right? I want everybody to not just think like, oh, I got to be near a big city, because you don't. And you can really just need to do the outreach yourself and reach out and talk to OBAP or Women in Aviation or NGPA or POP or LPA, like all of them, let's go.
Exactly. They're all willing to help. They're all willing to help.
It's so fun. It is super duper fun. So you did Civil Air Patrol, and that's kind of how you started flying?
Yeah, it's another way to get exposed. Basically, being in Civil Air Patrol allowed me to take a couple discovery flights and training flights. Just that was geared towards their missions of the Civil Air Patrol, such as they have search teams flying here and there looking for people. I got a chance to become a lead for aerospace, which is basically we had a group of kids and they promoted me to become the leader to teach an aerospace class, which was really cool. But just moving through the ranks up there and just being involved gave me a glimpse of what it's like to go either the military route or just the biggest thing is to be able to lead. And that's where I really gained a lot of public speaking skills. But regardless of those skills or whatnot, it's a great way to get involved with aviation.
Yeah.
From my experience. So
I agree. And that confidence that they help you get, because
yes,
man, there's nothing weirder than standing in front of a group of your peers for the first time.
Yes.
And just
yes.
having to communicate something where you know that they're just thinking the worst possible things ever about you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you learn to have fun.
That's right.
You learn to relax. You learn to go with it. But you got really involved with aviation as far as military leaders in aviation and giving other kids a chance to take a ride in the Civil Air Patrol plane, see what they do. So it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And a special thanks to those men and women that volunteer with Civil Air Patrol, because they don't have to be out there helping those kids. There's a very big heart on those people to help them learn and help them understand our aviation industry. So you do Civil Air Patrol for a while, and then at some point you're going to start doing lessons and just making it happen. So what happened? How was that transition? What happened?
So basically after that, it was around the time I graduated high school. So about 2014, 2015 is when I was like, I really need to go to a school. So I attended community college. But the thing with community college, I just feel, or just in general, the transition from high school to community or even a 4-year university, a lot of kids are lost on how to get started regardless of what it is. My biggest advice is just you find a structured program and go through that. It's basically, you know what you want before you get into it. For example, when I attended community college, I spent 2.5 years there taking general education classes, wondering how am I going to get started? How is this going to help me with aviation? Because I wasn't flying. And I wasn't taking any classes regarding aviation or even towards a 4-year degree, although it was just general ed.
Were you just knocking out classes for the sake of like, I've got to do something? Or were you like streamlined toward a path?
I was streamlined towards a path. So I was actually looking at Sacramento State University and I was trying to choose degrees. And with all the degrees listed online, they're like, these are the prerequisites. So I would then go to the counselor at the community college and try to list myself for those courses. And some it's either backed up or not available during the spring or summer, fall. So that's pretty much how that panned out. But it wasn't until about a year later, I went over to my buddy's house and his parents told me about this school down there in Bakersfield, California. It's called California Aeronautical University. And that's where when you go through the program, you get your 4-year bachelor's degree. You get all of your flight ratings, and then you get a chance to work for the school and build your hours, then go to the airlines.
As a Part 141 school?
Yes, Part 141 school. So it was like, I would say in the year 2016, late 2016 is when I really started to apply myself towards that school as far as applying and getting accepted and doing all the paperwork. And then I got pretty much a date to attend the school, which was in the fall of 2017.
Okay. Let me ask a couple quick questions.
Yeah.
How were your grades in high school? Good, bad, medium?
No, they were bad. I wasn't a good student, to be honest. I struggled with school.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Throughout my whole school career, I struggled with school. A funny story. My parents joke about this all the time. I have a sister. She's really good at school and she loved to read. And so they tried to get me into reading. They would take me to the library, Borders Books, Barnes and Nobles, and I would go straight to the magazine section, pick out a airplane magazine, and just look at the pictures. I would just look at the pictures, and then now here I am, a pilot.
Making the pictures. That's so good.
Yeah, just looking at pictures. They're like, how did that happen?
That's so good. Okay, so
yeah,
I think that's important. I wanted to bring that forward because another person listening to this probably has grades like you and grades like me and are probably shrugging their shoulders a little bit. So I want to encourage them.
Yeah.
It's still something you can do. All right. So now the next real question is, how did you pay for school in Bakersfield?
I had to do a Parent Plus loan.
Okay. What is that?
So basically, your parents co-sign with you saying, well, I know my child doesn't make the money, but I do. So I'm going to sign a piece of paper, get a loan, and then they can help pay me back.
Okay.
in the future. So
You did straight up loans to pay for school.
yes, I did a loan to pay for the school.
All right. And it took you 4 years.
It actually took me I started in 2017 in the fall and I finished 2019. So about 2.5 years.
Oh, man. Yes. So
Yeah.
were you able to use those community college courses to translate over for the 141 school?
Yes, I was.
So smart. Saved a lot of money doing that community college.
It saved money, saved time.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So you were able to kind of abbreviate that. You have your loans, you get out the day afterwards, and you have your first payment. How much money do you owe?
Oh, I owe quite a bit.
Let's go. You owe 100 grand.
Yeah.
You owe 200 grand. You owe 300 grand. How much you owe?
I own about almost 200 grand.
200
About 100, say 180 grand.
180. Okay.
Yeah.
How much do you pay every month?
I save up $3,000 a month.
You pay $3,000 a month.
No, I'm just saving it up
Okay.
for now, just because I live at home with my parents.
Yes.
So it's a way for me to save money.
Yes.
So each check I get, I put $1,500 from each check towards the loans.
Good. Listen, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Being creative, finding the ways, because you're going to have to pay the piper to go through that. You're going to have
Yes.
to pay one way or another. The first way is
Yes.
$200,000 worth of loans. The second way is
Yes.
10 years in the military. So choose
Yes.
your way. What's your path? And don't be afraid of either one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either one will get you there. Either one is still going to be a great experience.
Yeah.
This industry, there's no way to not pay your dues, regardless of
I
who
know.
you are, what you do, what you know.
Yeah, absolutely. There are certainly scholarships, and we'll do more about scholarships.
Yes, yes, yes.
But I want people to know that like that is a path. So you got your ratings, you started becoming an instructor at the school, and then where did you go when you left that?
When I left the school, I went straight to SkyWest Airlines.
SkyWest to a regional. How many
Yes.
hours did you have when you got to SkyWest?
For total time, I had 1447.
1447.
Yeah.
So by the time you were done with your sims and a little bit of OE, you were past your ATP mins.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's good.
Actually, I was the restricted, but I was delayed because of COVID. So, but even then when I started, it didn't take me long at all to get the restrictions removed.
Yeah, for sure. You start banging out
Yeah.
hours. Talk to me about training. What was that like?
SkyWest training or flight training at the school?
Yeah, SkyWest training.
Oh, it was tough. It was hard. It was hard. I initially failed my initial, but from indoc to ground school to the sims with the loft and the LOE, it was a lot, just like any airline would be, but it was a lot.
Why do you think it's a lot? What is it? The speed? Is it the complexity of the FMS, or what is it?
That's a good question. It's a lot because of how one learns. That's my best interpretation of it. Some things were easier to get, such as limitations or flight planning, so on and so on. But different things came harder to different people. So it's just like different waves within the training is what made it hard. Like you're riding the wave. Some things could be easy. Some things could be hard. Sometimes you have a lot of time. Sometimes you don't. Just like that.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, the listener, that the way a 121 operator, they do AQP training.
Yes.
They will talk about more in depth in another episode. But the way they do training is it is based on trends from the pilots, and they follows a pattern. And so you can see on this day, we're going to do high work. On this day, we're going to do single engine work. On this day, we're going to do this and that and the other. And so you can kind of see each day builds incrementally on the next. And then at the end of that, you have a big check ride and it's super stressful, and you've got to put everything, wiggle your shoulders and take a deep breath. And when you mess something up, you got to like drop it behind you and not even think about it and just move on.
Exactly.
Man. And I love that first off, you're open about your failure. Like that's okay. People stub their toe and people have difficulty, and you can still succeed. And you're proof of that. And I love that. It's also part of your personality, having known you for this
thanks.
long. Yeah, for sure, dude.
I always say there's like no shame in my game. It's just basically whatever you weren't so good at one point in the future, you're not going to make that mistake again. You're going to be really good. You know, it's just like whatever it was for me in training on the line for me now, second nature.
Yeah, absolutely. So
it's just, all it is an obstacle to overcome.
how long have you been flying at SkyWest?
I've been flying for, say, 11 months.
11 months. Okay.
Yes.
So you've been at SkyWest 11 months. How many hours have you gotten since you've been there?
I've gotten 561 turbines so far.
Man. So do you feel like you've been flying a lot, like putting yourself out there and flying a ton, or do you feel like you've been kind of moderate or just super slow?
I feel like I've been moderate because some days I've been on reserve, just sitting around waiting for a call versus me holding a solid schedule, a line, but it would be more active on the flying.
Yeah, and that's interesting. So when you're on reserve, it's just kind of like a doctor is on call. You're just waiting around.
Exactly.
They give you the call and you've got a certain amount of time to make it to the airport to get to fly.
Exactly.
And that oftentimes goes to the super duper senior people and the super duper junior people.
Yeah.
And the people in the middle, they get a line, and a line is a set schedule. You know that at 2 p.m., you're going to take off and you're going to fly to Salt Lake, and then you're going to go here. And you can plan your whole month around it.
Exactly.
Do you currently hold a line after 11 months?
Yes.
All right. Do you live in base or do you commute?
I commute 2 hours away because my base is San Francisco, but I live in Sacramento. And that drive, say on a good day, it's like 1:40.
Listen, man,
But
don't get me started.
On average, it's about 2 hours, 2.5.
Yeah. Get to listen to some good podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. It's usually what I do.
Yeah. Perfect. Keep listening to mine. Okay. So
Yes.
you got a 2-hour commute and then you've got to park, and it's like 40 minutes from the parking lot to the gate, and you got to be there at least an hour early. So you're really thinking about like 4+ hours in advance to try to make sure that you are where you need to be on time, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. But a driving commute offers a lot more flexibility than if you had to fly. Let's say you live in Anchorage or whatever, it would be much more difficult to commute.
Oh, yeah. I know the feeling. I used to commute to Dallas, Fort Worth out of
Oh,
Sacramento.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So.
That's no fun. All right.
Yeah, no fun.
So what does the future hold? Like, what do you have coming on the horizon?
A couple things. My next goal is to go to upgrade training this year, as soon as possible. And after that, head to a legacy carrier such as United. That's my main goal. That's what I've always wanted. So those are my goals. And then eventually make captain there.
Yeah.
Build more experience.
For sure. Well, United, they're probably perfect for you because they're right there in San Francisco, right? So it's junior base and you could hold it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a great idea. Do you have your application built?
Yeah, I do.
You do? Do you update it all the time?
Yeah, I just got it in about a week or so ago. So I plan to update it every month on the same exact date. Oh, every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, baby. Let's go. Don't wait a month.
Let's do it. Okay. I'll make a note.
Yep. Dude, when I was doing it, I took a laptop with me on the road.
Right.
In my pilot bag, and I would get to the overnight and the guy would be like, "Hey, you want to go to dinner?" I'm like, "Hold on. I got to update my stuff." And I would just update it. Man, 4 years I did that.
That's smooth. That's good.
Yes.
2 weeks.
So we met at OBAP, right?
Mm-hmm.
Were you able to, well, I guess you didn't have your apps in yet. So you are 500 hours, you're over 2,000 hours total time. So you're right
Correct.
In that zone of like you've got the heat turned up and you're starting to boil and you're starting to come forward and they're starting to smell the aroma of like a new job offer coming toward Eric.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. So what else are you doing to get yourself out there?
Man, well, basically I signed up for basically all the programs as far as the PAPA, everything else. And I plan to attend these meetings, Women in Aviation, everything in GPA. So I'm just going to market myself. I have a feeling that's a good ordeal.
You're going to go to Women in Aviation in Long Beach?
Yes.
You're going to swing by?
That's what I plan on doing. Hopefully I could get it off. So I'm going to try to bid.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
And you're going to come say hi to me?
Absolutely.
Let's go.
If I'm there, I will definitely stop by.
I would love to see you there.
Yes.
All right. So what questions do you have for me, right? I want to do, like, if you've got questions about like kind of what's next and all that stuff, like what's going through your head?
Maybe a couple. What are your like goals, like short term, long term, just in general?
Yeah. So first, I think that it's important to note that you are, how old are you? 25?
I'm 26, but I turned 27 this month.
All right. That's awesome. I have a birthday this month too. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you are young as can be, and I am old as can be. I'm 43. I turned 44, right?
Right.
I have so many kids. I got to get that weirdo homeschool van here pretty soon. And I have a wife and a dog and all the things.
There you go.
I can tell you that my goals are a couple things. I'm already at my major airline. And so I try to embrace the culture of it. I'm trying to learn a lot. I've got captain upgrade, just like you have captain upgrade coming up. I also have captain upgrade. And I'm a little terrified.
Congrats.
I don't know about you, but I'm a little nervous. And
I am.
It's important. So I've been reading the ops manager, the FOM, right?
Right.
And trying to go through that, because that to me is the bigger picture of the company. And so like how the company wants to operate, whether it's some kind of like medical emergency or how they handle de-icing or what their mins are for this or that or the other, I think I need to know that. And there's so much to learn. And so that's the first thing I think about. The next thing I think about is the fact that like the person sitting next to me might be completely inoperable. They might be brand new, and I've not been there forever. I've not been there 15 years. And so, like, how do I foster a team to be able to let that person know, like, I'm new and you're new, and we have to be extra, extra good. And I want us to be awesome together. And I want those flight attendants in the back. You know, those flight attendants have been there 30 plus, 40 plus years.
Right.
I want them to know, like, oh man, they're going to be a great team. We're all going to work together. And that I hear people say, oh man, these new guys are the kids that are flying, like blah, blah, blah. And I don't think that's true. I think that like you've proved yourself and you show that you are capable and an amazing pilot and a safe pilot and a great leader.
Right.
And so you've essentially got a decade of experience because you started at Civil Air Patrol when you're 15. So like you already have a decade of experience. So I want you to like embrace that, but also be humble about it and learn, because every flight is learning.
Literally, yeah. Every single flight, it's always something new. It's a different experience every time.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting is like, I see it in myself. Like when I do something incorrectly and the guy next to me or the gal next to me makes the adjustment. Hey, look, you should have instead of pushing this button, pull it and do this thing, or, you know, push this or turn here, or, oh, let me help you with the FMS. Let me show you a little trick that you don't know. And once you're a captain, like those people are gone. Those people can't show you those tricks anymore. And so, man,
I know exactly what you feel like. I was hoping I wasn't the only one who felt like that.
Yeah. Hey, listen,
exactly what you just said.
It's just me, you, and my mom listening. So like, don't worry about it. Nobody's, we can talk about whatever we want.
Yes. You hit it on the dot. I have the same feeling, same fear about that. It's just that who else is there to call? What other tricks up your sleeve do you have that you haven't experienced yet?
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, it's something to think about.
Yeah. And so one thing I learned at my major airline was, at least like standard at my regional airline, was that they have so many different ways to reach out and to find a person that can help you find the answer. There's not just like a pilot help desk. There's like an app, and there's like live texting, and there's dispatch is a second away, and maintenance is a second away. And then they come around the corner and they're super nice and they're super generous. And like, you just feel like you can get the help you need. Like, that's just it. Like, you're in the ocean and you need somebody to throw you a life raft in some of these situations. So it's a good thing.
I like it. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
That's good.
What else? What other questions are you thinking about?
What motivated you to like reach out and help others as far as like with the podcast and really get that going so you can like shed light on everybody? I feel like it's kind of cool.
Yeah. A couple things. First off, I love a podcast. So
there you go.
I listen to some really great podcasts. I listen to like the 21.5 podcast. I listen to Airline Confidential. I listen to all the union podcasts and lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff. And the one thing I saw when I was going through my interview process is like, there was nothing there. There's like this big air gap. Like there are people that talk about their flying that they like to do or whatever, but there's nobody doing this. Like Joe Rogan crushing it with Elon Musk and making millions and millions of dollars. But there's nobody sitting in his kid's room with a microphone asking somebody else about their journey, because the only way you can do it is go like on the forum. And you go on the forum and it's just a bunch of people like complaining. And it's like, whoa, I never want to do any of that. But that's not how it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I get the people to tell me like, it's all rumor. But I also have the ability to like now reach out and be like, is this rumor true? And they'll be like, no, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Actually, it was kind of true. So, but it's just to help. It's just to be part of it. I actually went to Bill and Tron, the guys that run Spitfire.
Okay.
I'm a nobody. I'm just a peon. And those guys, I told them, we had this call one day and I was like, man, you guys need a podcast or something, because it's like, there's great opportunity here for helping. Cause that's our whole thing. It's like helping. And a couple days later, my phone rings and it's Tron. He's like, hey, you're starting a podcast. I was like, what? No, I'm not. He's like, no, yeah, you are. We're going to mail you a microphone. So this is how we got started.
There you go. It's amazing.
So, all right, here's a question to you. The director of hiring at United listens to this podcast and they hear you right now. Why should they hire you?
That's a good question. It's because I would say just my background. That's a good question because I feel like a lot of people have that same background. I don't know. I got pictures to prove it. Me sitting in the cockpit. It's just like that first time. What about this? Like basically, when I was that one kid up there, they let me go see the controls. They actually made me had a really good vacation versus, let's say now when I go to work, there's been a couple occasions where we let kids come up to the cockpit, one or two make a wish. And I just hope they had that same feeling that I did.
Yeah.
Something that's going to remember it. Just think about it like this. You're not going to think about it the next time you go to work. You might not remember that plane you flew on, but you're going to remember who made your trip great. And that's my goal, not just in aviation, but no matter who I'm with or where I go. When I'm with my buddies, I want to be that person who makes the experience great. When I'm at work, I want to be that person who makes the job fun. It's just, you could put us in a nothing field and you're going to have fun if you're around the right person.
Yeah. So you love the bigness of the heart of United and you want to share with that a little bit. Their big heart matches your big heart is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. Exactly.
Man, that's so good.
We've all flown with somebody who hasn't matched your enthusiasm or whatnot. Like, let's be real. Like, who wants to go into work saying, I don't want to fly with this person, or I haven't heard too much about this person or anything like that. It's just all about the people, honestly. That's what makes the job fun, because the job, it's going to be the job at the end of the day. It's going to be the same. You're going to mess up. Some flights going to be better, good weather, bad weather, but the ones who were there at the moment, that's what's going to make all the difference. Not just in having fun, but let's say working together to resolve a conflict with the system while you're en route, or with the passenger, or with the maintenance delay when you're on the ground. You could shine light on those people, make their experience good, saying, hey, well, this company isn't so bad to fly for, because even though we were sitting here on the ground for hours, these pilots, these flight attendants, they made the experience that much better.
Yeah.
It's all about how you make people feel. That at the end of the day, that's what they're there for.
Absolutely.
Just with all those first class seats, you're the first class seat personality wise for all those people. So think of it like that.
I like it, man. That's so good. Well, I'm stoked. I think that you have a beautiful story. You're active in your mission of getting to your dream job. Like, that's what I love about you. When you were walking around OBAP and we met for the first time, I mean, you just walked right up to me and shook my hand. I was like, whoa. Like, so you just bring this presence.
Like, what's up, man?
Yeah, it's so good, because that's what we do. We get to share in the joy of aviation, but also being a pilot is fun. And the people that are pilots are fun to hang out with. And that's all the conferences are, is like a great scam for everybody to be able to be like, well, I got some work stuff, so I'm going to go hang out with all my friends for a whole weekend. Like, it's like the big joy of all of that. And God bless my wife, because every time she knows, like, I'm going to just have the best possible time. Don't forget that and hold on to that. And even when you're at United, and even when you're in your 50s, and even after you retire when you're 65, like, keep being involved, because you're lifting as you climb, right? Like, keep doing that. It's a good thing because somebody else lifted you. I love that. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
So I am going to have you back when you have your United interview, and we are going to talk about it, and we are going to get it all out there and just talk about all the feels, and it's going to be awesome.
That'll be great.
You up for that?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
That's exciting.
Eric, thank you so much for spending time with us, and thank you for being part of my life. I'm so glad that we get to have these conversations.
Absolutely. We could always keep in touch. It'd be great. You have my number, you got my LinkedIn, email, everything. So it'd be great.
Hey, before you jump out of here and go on to the next podcast, can I ask a big favor? Would you mind going over to your app that you're listening to this podcast on and give me a review? Give me a 5-star review if you love it. Give me a 1-star review if it totally sucks. Put a comment in there, something that is helpful. It helps me. It helps get the word out there. It helps people find the podcast, and that's super cool. If you don't do that, maybe you could just share the podcast with a friend. Tell a buddy who's trying to figure it out, trying to sort out this pilot dream of theirs and get a little bit further. That is super awesome as well. Last, if you don't do either of those two things, how about this? Find a way today to make yourself 1% better. Do that thing that you've been putting off. Put your foot forward, make movement, get yourself going, get that inertia that you need to succeed in this industry. So that's your choice. Leave a review, tell a friend, or make yourself better. Either way, it's all a good choice. And I'm super stoked you're listening, and I will see you on the next episode. The statements made on this show are my own opinions and do not reflect, nor are they under any direction from my employer.